One of the biggest lessons that I've learned is don't want it more than the client. The first challenge people have is sometimes being honest with themselves about what their situation is. The one minute they want to get help, but then once you show them the numbers and the data, they get a little nervous. So, but that's the first part, is being honest with yourself and then being honest with the advisor. I've wasted a lot of time, when I first got started, on people that didn't really appreciate what I was doing, wasn't sure. And I learned that the people that's really ready to move, they don't take a long time to make a decision. They act quickly, they're decisive.
One of my mentors, he talks about having with or without you energy. And it's not about like being a jerk, but it's like, yo, this action got to get done with or without you. I'm going to grow as a financial advisor. I'm going to help my clients. I'm going to put together this portfolio. I'm going to watch these stocks climb with or without you.
Nothing is guaranteed for us in this life. You can work for a company for years and they can let you go for no reason, or because it's just overhead. Or, so I said, I want to put myself in a position to where I don't have to worry about that. And I wanted to have something where there was no cap on my income. So unlimited income potential. I can make an impact with the people and communities I serve and love. And I have the freedom and flexibility to do that.
I've been talking with today's guest back and forth for a little while now, but we made it happen and we're here. And it's perfect timing because right now we're in the middle of tax season. So there's nobody better to talk to than somebody in financial services. We have the founder of R2 Vision. Today we have Ray Roach. Ray, how you feeling today, man?
Feeling good, feeling good. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Sure, man. Thanks for joining me. We connected on LinkedIn. I've reached out. I kind of keep it focused on the Baltimore DMV area, and you are here in the area. So how has your career in financial services been? Because when you're in the DMV, you're around a lot of delegates. You're around a lot of people who have to make not just money move, but countries move. So how does that impact your business?
Oh, definitely impacts the business a lot, especially with us being in the DMV area. There's a lot of people that work in the federal government. And so it's
Hmm.
like a lot of government workers that may be looking for financial services. Then we had the government shut down around September, October. So they had a little impact on the business. People were having questions, trying to figure out how they can budget their money, how they can manage their resources better. So, but we have a lot of affluent and successful individuals in this area as well, too. So definitely a great place to work, especially like in Montgomery County, Howard County. Those are
Yeah.
some wealthier counties, and so it's a blessing to be a financial advisor in this area because of that type of market that we have.
Man, I love that mindset, right? Because a lot of people don't, they just hear about Baltimore, they hear about the DMV, they don't know the differences. But the thing is, we are close to the people, like what you said. So we actually get to see it. And I like your perspective. Like, it's a blessing to be around it, to know that type of affluence is around us. And then it influences us in a way where we can dive into careers like what you have. So let's talk about your career, though. What was it that got you into the financial services space?
So you basically want me to tell you my story,
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
much?
sure. Yep.
Okay. I would say it was definitely a gradual realization. It wasn't overnight, but I would say around 2020 when COVID-19 hit, that's
Mm,
when everything changed. I think that was a difficult time period for a lot of people, not just me. I was working at a company. I was in HR, human resources, and I got laid off because the company was having some financial difficulties, as well as a lot of companies were. And so my position was eliminated. So that year I had lost my job. It was very difficult finding work. And on top of that, I had some personal family challenges that I was dealing with in my household. I won't get into too many details about that. And, that caused me to have to pretty much start my life over. I had to move back in with my mom, my dad, and pretty much rebuild myself back over again, financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I went through a deep depression. I had to figure out who I was and, what my life was going to be like, what my purpose was again. And so it took me some time, but during that difficulty, it gave me that moment of clarity. I realized that, nothing is guaranteed for us in this life. You can work for a company for years and they can let you go for no
yep.
reason or
Yep.
because it's just overhead or, so I said, I want to put myself in a position to where I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to depend on somebody else for my paycheck. I'm gonna set my own standards, create my own system where I can build a life of my own. And so I said, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to work for myself. I didn't like working for people anyway. And so I wanted to do my own thing. And I had to figure out, what do I actually like? I love people. Even since I was a teenager in high school and college, I always loved giving advice to my friends. I was always like a young old man, and people would come to me for advice. And so I said, I love giving advice. I love people. Financial advisory field was something that was attractive to me. And I
Mhm.
wanted to have something where there was no cap on my income. So unlimited income potential. I can make an impact with the people and communities I serve and love, and I have the freedom and flexibility to do that. And it's funny too, Quintel. Like originally, I didn't start out in financial planning right away. I actually started a credit repair company. So I had
Mm.
Star Credit LLC, did that for a little bit. I took a loss my first year in the business, and I was helping people with their counseling. I was helping them get their credit scores up. I was helping them dispute items on their credit reports so that they could get their scores up to qualify for better interest rates, mortgages, homes, cars, loans. But I said, that's not enough for me. I wanted to get into wealth management, investments, and financial planning. So I did research on how to become a financial advisor. So I found a firm, they sponsored me, paid for me to get all my licenses, and then 2022 is when everything happened. And now in 2026, we still here. So I've been able to build this business from the ground up, and now I'm still here, and I love it.
Hey, so that's a great story, man, because a lot of us go through that. Men go through having to rebuild themselves at a certain point when you're coming into adulthood, and I think a lot of guys had to make changes and shifts around when COVID-19 hit, right? Because it shook up the stability for everything. Even if you didn't, lose your job, there are people around you losing your job, and so we just went through a whole lot. So I appreciate you sharing your story around that. But I want you to dive into something real quick because I don't know that a lot of people like you took the initiative to go and research how you can get into the space. And I don't think a lot of people know that you can get sponsored into the space to take care of the licenses and those types of things. So can you talk a little bit more about that in case anybody in the audience wants to figure out a way to become a planner like you?
Absolutely. So usually, if you want to become a fully licensed financial advisor and fiduciary, typically you'll need to have a Series 7 and Series 66 license. And in order to take certain examinations, you'll need to have what you call a FINRA member firm to sponsor you. FINRA stands for
Okay.
the Financial Industry Regulatory
Hmm.
Authority. So you look at companies, if they're a FINRA member firm, you get affiliated with it. I don't want to mention any specific names,
Yeah.
but those companies will actually pay for you to take those exams. So the first way to get in is take the SIE. That's a Securities Industry Essentials exam. You don't have to be sponsored to take that. That's a basic exam that covers the broad overview of the securities industry. You learn about investments like stocks, you learn about bonds, you learn about mutual funds, you learn about variable insurance, annuities, you learn about the different laws around securities, how to make recommendations that's in the best interest of clients. So it's pretty much an overview, the SEC, the Federal Reserve. It's an overview of the industry. So you take that exam. Once you pass that exam, then you have to take the Series 7 or you can take a Series 6. Once you get to that level, you have to get a firm to sponsor you to take those exams. Once you get your Series 7, if you get the Series 7, then you can become a general securities representative, which means now you can actually buy and sell individual stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, and things like that. Now, to become an advisor, now you have to study for that Series 65 or 66 license, which will allow you to become an investment advisor representative. And now you can actually give financial advice and charge a fee for it. So you can get paid for your advice and you can manage assets for a fee. So that's the path: SIE, Series 7 or 65, and then 66.
Got you.
Yep.
Got you. So managing for a fee, is that 2 and 20? Or is that
They-
a different part? So managing for a fee, is that the same thing as like doing 2 and 20, like managing mutual funds for somebody?
It can be. So yeah. So yeah, whenever you it depends on the type of account. So if it's a advisory account, then yes, it could be mutual funds, ETFs, it could be various combination of securities. If it's a
Okay.
brokerage account, then it's more of a passively managed fund. It's not really active. It's not really a fee. It might be a commission. So it just
Okay.
depends on if it's brokerage or advisory.
Okay. Okay. Got you. Got you. So can you break down? So now you have R2 Vision. Can you break down what a day in the life of your work is? Like you took time out your day to kick it with me and talk about it. So let's share the game, man. If you got time like this, you talked about the flexibility. How is it that you manage your business kind of day to day?
Well, I set my own calendar. So,
Yeah.
typically a day would consist of client meetings. So I'm meeting with clients during the daytime. I'm out prospecting. Sometimes I'm at networking events. Sometimes I do a lot of public speaking. I might be at a speaking engagement, whether I'm doing a virtual seminar, an in-person a speaking engagement with the Chamber of Commerce or something like that. So from networking, from speaking engagements, from prospecting, from making calls, from emails, from meeting with clients, client reviews, processing applications and paperwork. monitoring portfolios that I might oversee with some of our money manager partners. So that's pretty much a typical day in life for me.
Yeah. Is there any part that you like the most? Like what stands out? Like what's the thing you kind of wake up? Because when you own your own business now, you gotta do everything, right? Or you gotta be at least responsible and aware of it. And some of that stuff is straight up work. Like it's just the stuff that gotta get done. So you look for those small opportunities because the more responsibility you get, the less you get to do the fun stuff or the stuff you enjoy. So what's the stuff that you actually enjoy?
I love meeting with the clients. I mean,
Hmm.
I would say that's probably my favorite part is meeting with my clients because I get to build relationships with them. I'm learning about their family. I'm learning about their children. I'm learning about their spouses. I'm learning about the things that are important to them. And it's not even always about money. It's sometimes it's about learning about their hobbies and places they like to go and food they like to eat. So I feel like it's really like a building like a family structure and dynamic. So I would say meeting with the clients are probably my favorite thing to do. And I love speaking. So whenever I get a chance to teach a financial
Hmm.
topic or do a session, I enjoy that probably the most between speaking and meeting with clients.
Got you. So when you're doing the speaking, right? Or even when you're meeting with clients and you get into like a Q&A session, man, what's one of the hard things or hard lessons that people is a little reluctant to embrace when it comes to managing their finances?
Oh yeah. I would say sometimes when it comes to talking to an advisor, it's a matter of trust. You know, you meet somebody for the first time and they say they want to meet with you, they might get a little reluctant to share all the details about what's going on with them. So I feel the first challenge people have is sometimes being honest with themselves about what their situation is. The one minute they want to get help, but then once you show them the numbers and the data, they get a little nervous. So, but that's the first part is being honest with yourself and then being honest with the advisor. I would say that's probably sometimes a challenge, getting them to provide the documents and the statements so that I can give them the information they need to tailor that advice.
Got you.
Yeah.
Did you always feel this comfortable with numbers, or did you have to go through your time where you was a little reluctant to face the numbers?
I actually like numbers. Like I
Hmm.
like numbers. So I enjoy it. You know, that's not a. When I was in school, numbers and math wasn't necessarily an issue for me. I think the subjects that I didn't like was history and English,
Okay.
but math and I like math.
So you were always comfortable with like dealing with money because that's a big thing in our community. We don't talk about it a lot in our families and in our community, and I think that's what a lot of our hesitancy around it is because we're not used to those conversations. We got to go have it with a professional like you. We don't want to have it. So, did you come up having those conversations with your mom and dad or anybody else in your family?
I would say yes, yes and no. I say yes because I do come from a background where I was very fortunate to be an African American male to have parents that were well educated. Like
Hmm.
both of my parents, they both have two master's degrees. My mother's a
Wow.
CFO for an international nonprofit organization, so
Hmm.
she knows money and finance very well. My father's done very well. Mom done well. So I did have that education background with my mother being a CFO, my dad doing well. And I've also had personal mentors. Like when I was a teenager, I had one of my mom's former friends, close friends, actually mentored me and taught me about credit at a very early age. So I had over 800 credit score in my early 20s because I had
Yeah.
people educate me. That's rare though in our
Hmm.
community, but I was fortunate to be exposed to that at a very young age.
Cool. Cool. So let me ask you then, how did you leverage that 800 credit score? Like, did you use it to like, what did you do once you get there? Because a lot of people, it's just about the number. But one thing I learned about the world is you can't be stagnant. You got to put things in motion. So now that you have that, that's like a weapon. It's a tool. It's an asset. And now you matured, you've grown. How did you leverage that coming up with that 800 credit score?
Oh, it's done well for me. Like I was able to purchase my first house.
Hmm.
About 4 years ago, I bought my first home. It was very easy. They like literally as soon as I applied and got the line of credit, it was instant. I didn't have to wait a day or two, so that was instantaneous approval. Got the best interest rate that I could get at the time, um, and just it's got me into places. It's allowed me to have larger lines of credit too at a young age. When I first started Star Credit LLC, I was able to get like a $25,000 line of credit instantly, and I was able to use that money as collateral to get the license that I need to operate as a credit service business when I did have it at the time. So it's really given me leverage. Um, Even now on my own home, I was able to get a HELOC, and I was able to consolidate bad debt. So I don't have any. So everything is in the house. So having
Got you.
a really good credit score has been valuable.
That's what's up, man. I like to hear these kinds of stories because even if you're not good with the money, you get to learn about what happens on the other side. Like when you actually start taking care of it, right? Like they say, you have to be a good steward of the money. The money going to treat you good based on how you treat it. It's tell me what you think about this though. So I think that, and there are books around this, like money is energy, it's current. So it's called currency. So you got to give it the right energy, right? And you being a professional advisor, do you have those kinds of conversations? Do you tell people like, hey, this is not what you just have to do, but why you actually have to do it? Like get them to concentrate their efforts towards this. Like, is that a difficult thing for them?
Correct. Sometimes, yeah. So what I try to do is take a goal based approach, and I try to attach, especially when people say let's say I got 10,000, $100,000. My first question is, Mr. and Mrs. Client, what do you want that money to do for you? What is the goal? What is the attachment? Is it to buy a vacation home? Is it to retire? Is it to get your kids through college? I try to get them to attach something personal to whatever the money is, because the money is not really important. You can make a person a lot of money, but if it hasn't achieved the objective of what they want the money to do for them, it doesn't serve any purpose, no matter how profitable they may become. And so, yeah, I try to attach that to the goal of what they're doing.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. So you go, you get your Series 6, Series 7, the 66 and 65. So like all of these numbers, right? And then you got the all the certifications like behind your name. So you're highly credentialed. But for somebody who wants to get in the game, what are some of the things that people have completely wrong about becoming a financial advisor? Like what it takes to be a professional and or even getting accredited. Like what's some of the misconceptions they have around it?
Um, Sometimes, I mean, I guess people think that this is an easy business that you just jump into it and you're going to start making a lot of money right away,
Mhm.
especially if you go the entrepreneurship route. And that's not true. It takes probably a good 3 to 5 years before you actually start to become stable. And so I think that's the misconception. People think that as soon as I get all these licenses, I'm just going to get all these clients and it's just going to blow up. And it doesn't work that way. People don't know who you are. You don't even know what
Mhm.
you're talking about right away. You have to build credibility. You got to build leverage. You got to build relationships. So I would say, big misconception. Sometimes people think that things are going to happen quickly, and it takes time. I mean, even me, I'm still building. I'm in a
Mhm.
great place. Thankfully, I'm doing great for myself, but I'm still at the point where I know I'm growing. And I've been in the game almost be 4 years in November, so it just takes time. Um, Also, too, some people think that you have to have a lot of college education to get into it, and you actually don't. You don't have to have a bachelor's degree to become a financial advisor or an associate's degree. As long as you can read, write, know basic math and arithmetic, and pass a few exams, you can still get your SIE, your Series 7, 66. You can get all those licenses, your life health insurance license. You can get all that without a college degree. Now, when it comes to designations, like CFP and things like that, there might be some additional requirements. But as far as getting licensed as an advisor, no, it's just be able to pass the test.
Got you. So you mentioned when you go in the entrepreneurship route, like what you have with R2 Vision, and then you could work for a firm, say like a mutual insurance firm or something like that. Um, what's the difference for somebody that's trying to figure out like how to get in the game?
I would say, if someone's thinking about becoming a financial advisor, they should think about this. What's their personal risk tolerance? Do they have the appetite and mental stamina to be able to withstand rejection, disappointment, people not showing up, people not believing you? Can you deal with that for a couple of years before you actually receive the payout? And if the answer is no, then the other route you can take, instead of actually going with a firm and being an entrepreneur, is to just work at a bank or an investment firm and get a salary, because there's companies that will pay you a stable base and you can get incentives and still make great money on a salary and do well, if you want that stability and predictability. But if you say, I'm more of a risk taker, I don't want any limits, then the entrepreneurship route may be for you. If you're more independent and you can take that risk and you got a little patience and discipline, and you can be accountable to yourself, then I would say go that route.
So for you in the entrepreneurship route, do you have a specific type of client that you like to work with? Like, do you focus on uh, business owners? Do you focus on families? Do you focus on families who have like farms or properties? Is there anything special that you focus on?
Yes, yes, yes. I would say, now, when I first started, I would just be working with almost anybody. But now I'm at the point where I do have a specific clientele. So my ideal client is someone who's making at least $150,000 or more in income, and they have at least $100,000 or more in investable assets. This
Mhm.
can be an individual consumer, a couple, individual by themselves, or a business. So I typically work with individuals and I work with businesses. This year, I've actually put forth more concentrated effort to make my focus on small business owners. I'm really trying to work with companies and make them more competitive so they can keep their employees, whether that's 401k benefits, pension plans, and group benefits. So this year, I'm targeting business owners and high net worth individuals that meet that profile I just mentioned.
Got you, got you. So real quick, can you tell me about working with small business owners? So like I was a small business owner. I mean, I'm still a small business owner, but I owned a juice bar. So I had employees and things like that. And small business owners, from my point of view and my life experience, they get really busy and really distracted. And so they may not prioritize handling the financials or have somebody on their team. So how do you cut through and get them to start to understand the significance of it? Or are they kind of just coming to you with that problem?
Rephrase that again for me.
So like with you now that you're targeting small businesses, like how do you cut through and get them to understand the importance of managing their finances because they're always really busy and they don't always have time to think about that. They gotta quickly handle payroll or get their stock in or handle or do customer service type of things.
Gotcha. Oh, absolutely. So yeah, that's something I do talk to business owners is about is not just managing the business finances, but their personal. And one of the things I do speak to small business owners about is, do you have a succession plan in place? What happens if you're not here? Do you want this business to continue on after you are gone or when you retire? What is your retirement plan? A lot of small business owners don't have a retirement plan. Their retirement plan is maybe they'll sell their business or maybe they'll give it away or they don't even know. And so, and some of them, do you have a retirement account like an IRA set up and things like that? So I do talk to them about that. Say, hey, do you plan on working the rest of your life? And if you don't plan on working the rest of your life, what is your plan for making that happen so that you can move on with your life, enjoy yourself, keep the business going, continuity. So yeah, I bring those pain points up. But what happens if you pass away and you have a partner and they have a spouse, right? But there's
Hmm.
no partnership agreement or buy-sell agreement in place. Well, you could be in bed with the other person's spouse if there's no proper estate plan set up. So I try to paint some real life scenarios with the business owners of what could happen if they don't plan for these particular areas and how they could benefit if they do plan. And usually that approach works.
Got you, got you.
Yeah.
So you talked about like how you had these conversations and you do speaking and you grow in a business. So how do you go about growing a business like this where compliance is more regulated than most other industries? Like how do you go about marketing? How do you go about growing and acquiring clients?
Yeah, that's a really good point because even when we did before we got this set up, I had to go through the compliance process.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
um, It's just really knowing the rules, knowing the rules and regulation of what's required before making those commitments. From what I found, and this is just my opinion, based on my experience with compliance, is usually what compliance want to make sure that if you're saying anything publicly to the media, that you're not saying that this is guaranteed. You're guaranteed to make X amount of return, or you
Hmm.
guaranteed to get this type of money in 5 years. Because if you say things like that, it's not compliant because you can't guarantee a client anything. So like, even when I'm doing seminars, I always do a check. I'll create content, I'll send it to them to review it to make sure I'm protected. My licenses, like they might like you can't say, that a person is gonna have 100% financial security. I can't say things like that publicly
Hmm.
because it's not may not be true, or financial peace of mind. There's certain terms that wouldn't be appropriate. So you kind of got to keep it very general and educational in nature, because the thing is, whenever you're speaking publicly, you don't know the financial circumstances of the audience you're talking to. So it has to be very generalized. You can only give tailored financial advice when you're actually meeting with someone on one and you've gotten the facts and data of their circumstances. So generally, that's what I find. So we always like even I had to say in this video, like nothing I say in this video is financial advice because I don't know anybody's circumstances who's listening. Everything I say is educational only. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you hear it all the time. So I expect to hear that from you. But anytime somebody talks about this is not financial advice, they're not even financial professionals. They
Right.
just say it all the time. And I just be like, I don't know that it apply to you. Like I just
Right.
and I'm not saying that you gotta be like tricky and try to pull the wool over people's eyes. But sometimes people talk online about money and finances. People like to talk about money, finances, business, and then somebody will say, "Well, this is not financial advice." And it's like, bro, you're just a successful entrepreneur. You can talk about money all you want. You don't have to say that, but you're a professional. So I'm just making sure that because I want to make sure I don't fall. I don't want to say it all out. Like if I'm talking about, because somebody might ask me, and I was like, well, let me think about what Ray told me. All right, Ray said it's cool. I can go ahead and say this. So thank you for that. And it's also helpful to understand if I'm having a conversation with somebody, because like other networking communities that I've been a part of, their financial advisors there as well too, because it's a good way for them to grow their business. And I'm trying to get an understanding of like how it is they go about like marketing or what kind of conversation we can have. So I'm learning more through you, and I'm guessing the audience is probably going to learn more from you on that. So thanks for sharing that one.
Was absolutely
Yeah, yeah, and we want to make sure you clear on this piece of content here,
correct,
right?
correct, correct, correct.
Yeah. So I'm gonna tell you what I like that you did recently. Recently you posted on LinkedIn that you hit you hit 100 followers, and for some other people online, they be like, "Well, that don't mean that's not like a lot of people." But first of all, you have the mentality of appreciating all of the small accomplishments and wins along the way. But one thing they don't think about, and you tell me if this factored into that, you know exactly who it is that's following you on LinkedIn. So you know the value of those people and you know what that's like. So what made you celebrate that? Like how was that what was that feeling, that micro win for you?
Felt great, man. To see that people are actually being drawn to the company that I've been able to create, and I did that because I've listened to some of your stuff too. Like, you can't be invisible. You don't want to be the best kept secret. I mean, I watch
Yeah.
some of your videos. If people don't know who you are and what you do, even if you're not the smartest person in the world, it's just visibility and knowing exactly what you do. It does a lot. I mean, you got to have a digital presence. So that did that for that person. Digital marketing, having a digital. If somebody looks me up online, I want to know that this is a legitimate establishment. There's people that follow it. There's a brand name associated with it. There's content. So I thought that was a great win that shows that, okay, he's doing something positive because people are actually following what he's doing. So that was a
Yeah,
good win for me.
congratulations on that, man. And we don't all have a DJ Khaled in our corner to hype us up. So we gotta take it upon ourselves to make sure that we appreciate things along the way. Because it's also a gift. Like it's a blessing because yeah, they're not going to see every post. They're not going to tap into everything. But just imagine what it's like to have 100 people to be in front of 100 people. Speaking is number one fear. Nobody really wants to show up in front of 100 people. So, having a digital connection with 100 people, it is meaningful. So shout out to you for that. I can appreciate
Thanks,
that.
man.
So that's one of the good things. Let's talk about some of the not so good things. Like what are some of the now I know you got out the gate with the 800 credit score. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to beat that. But what are some of the mistakes you may have made around money and finances along the way?
I would say, before I got all this actual knowledge and became a licensed professional, I would say I made some dumb decisions in terms of like bad investments. Like,
Hmm.
and anything I say, I'm not endorsing cryptocurrency or digital assets or anything like that. But I remember when me and my buddies some years back when we got into the crypto space, we were just making stupid decisions, just putting money in there, hoping that we was going to make a return on it. We lost a lot of money doing that, using credit cards to invest and stuff like instead of actually using cash because we were broke and we didn't have no money and we were trying to make money. So that was just poor, like was lack of financial education and literacy at that time, and so it cost me and some of my buddies some money just making bad investments. Um, Borrow money instead of using your own money to invest. So I would say that's probably one of the poor. Everything else, I think I made pretty good decisions. I would just say probably those bad investments I made a couple of years ago, without
Got you.
having knowledge of how to invest properly.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about around entrepreneurship? Because like that, we always learning, right? We still learning right now. So what are some of the mistakes you may have made around entrepreneurship along the way?
Would say wasting time with people that really don't want it as bad as you might want it. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned is don't want it more than the client. If you
Hmm.
meet with someone and they kind of give you the impression they want to learn about your services and they kind of like 50-50, you follow with them and they're not being responsive, just move on. I've
Hmm.
wasted a lot of time, when I first got started on people that didn't really appreciate what I was doing, wasn't sure, and I learned that the people that's really ready to move, they don't take a long time to make a decision. They act quickly, they're decisive. So I would say just a mistake that I made was wasting time unnecessarily on that when I could have been moving on to someone else. Could have
Yeah.
made some more money.
Listen, I think, and I'm sure that they're out there, they need to have very specific business therapists, like, because we got to break our mind away from stuff like that. It happens, and only people in business and entrepreneurship understand it. Like, speed is your friend, right? Success loves speed. And so you got to be willing to move, like you said, be decisive, especially on things that's like reversible. Like, okay, even if you lose some money, like you can quickly turn it around, you can get the money back, but the time, we can't get back. So yeah, thanks for sharing that because that's something that
Yeah.
I've been going through, wasting time with people who not ready to move. One of my mentors, he talks about having with or without you energy, and it's not about like being a jerk, but it's like, yo, this action got to get done with or without you. I'm gonna grow as a financial advisor. I'm gonna help my clients. I'm gonna put together this portfolio. I'm gonna watch these stocks climb with or without you. You can join the party. I'm gonna show you how. I want you to be a part of it, but the with or without you energy is like what's really gonna
And
happen.
I,
And
and I,
it
and I
keep
say this, and I was going
yeah,
to say this. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
no
I
problem.
was going to
Go
say,
ahead.
like, it's important to know your worth and your value. That's
Mm-hmm.
important. Sometimes we don't understand how valuable we really are, and that we're the expert, we're the person that's the professional. That person needs our help, in that situation. So we got to carry it that way. We don't want to be desperate and chasing stuff down. No, we're valuable. I mean, even the good Lord said, "Don't waste your pearls before swine." Right.
Mm-hmm.
So don't waste your precious wisdom and jewels on someone that don't appreciate what you got off because you're the catch
Yeah.
in this situation.
Are there any kind of like, how do you remind yourself? Let's get into it, right? How do you remind yourself that you are the value, without being rude or dismissive or anything? Like, how do you stay on top of that and keep yourself in that mental space?
Oh, got you. Absolutely. I mean, just sometimes I have self talk, some self talk
Mhm.
with myself. I remind myself, hey, I think about where I came from and where I am today. You know, and I pray a lot. That's one of the things too. I'm always in prayer. I'm a man of faith,
Mhm.
and I get that reassurance that I'm doing something right. And so I remind myself of the value that I am, talk out loud to myself, repeat phrases sometimes out
Yeah,
loud. Hey, you're doing a good job. You're the man. You're successful. Don't let your value be dictated by someone else's insecurity. Things like that. And so, but you don't say that to a client, you
right,
know,
right.
but to yourself, because you know your worth. And there's other, and I think about how there are other people that do appreciate what I've done, and
Hmm.
so I remind myself of that too. Like, man, what about the success stories and the good people? Obviously, I'm doing something right.
Yeah,
Everybody not gonna like you, but there are some people that do. More, if I look at, there's more wins. You're gonna have some losses, but if I got more wins and less losses, then I'm on the right track.
exactly, exactly. And I do the same thing. I do self-talk. I talk to myself out loud, and but there's a good book about this, and we'll link it in the description, and I'll send it to you as well. It's called "The Gap in the Game." So you measure yourself looking backward, not forward, right? Because it's always something more to acquire, somewhere else to go, and so it brings about like a feeling of unaccomplishment, right? Because you didn't get there yet. But if you look backwards and you measure against what you've gained from where you've come from, like you said, you think about what you've done, you have more wins than losses. It help you, feel better about where you are, what you're doing, who you're working with, and the direction you're going in. So, thanks for sharing that. We be needing to hear those types of things, man. Nobody, if you're in business right now, you're not tripping because you talk to yourself. In fact, I'm pretty sure most entrepreneurs are out here talking to themselves right now.
Absolutely, affirmations.
Yeah, man. Listen, they sound all cliche, right? Until you start actually using it, and then you realize, oh, this actually works. This actually works. So, Ray, tell us what you got coming up, man. You got any speaking engagements going on soon, or
Right now, I'm working on something. So I don't have anything just yet, but I'm actually working on something with one of my chamber of commerces that I'm connected to. So we're working
hmm
on something. Probably it might be in the summer or springtime, where we're going to do an event specifically, actually for Black business owners.
okay,
So that's coming up shortly. We just got to work out the details, the content, but that's an upcoming thing to be
okay,
to be followed up later.
got you, got you. Yeah, I'm a part of the Black Chamber of Commerce here in Baltimore too, so I try to stay
Okay.
tapped into what they have going on and put together uh
I might have to check them out.
workshops. Yeah, yeah, and they do pretty good. We just had a in January there was a town hall, a State of the Union type of meeting. They were talking about uh, a lot of the delegates. The delegates were there to talk to the entrepreneurs about how to, be more inclusive of what their needs are and what's going on around Baltimore to where they can, plug in to getting resources or providing their services and things like that. And so I see the value in the different chambers around the country, actually, right? So those things are really cool. So that's good on you for that. So can you share more with us about where people can get in contact with you if you got any resources you want them to tap into?
Absolutely. So, if you want to get in contact with me, you can go directly on my website, www.r2-vision.com. My email address is rayroach at
Hmm.
r2-vision.com. Phone number is 301-453-5351. So you can call me directly. You can go on the website, go to contact us, book an appointment, email me.
Hmm. Cool, cool. I'll make sure I link all of those things in the description so everybody here listening to Built Different or watching Built Different live with us, you can check out Ray at the details in the description. Ray, thanks a lot for connecting with me, for putting this together, and for both of us to be patient and make it happen. I'm really glad that we got to have this conversation, man.
Most definitely, most definitely. I appreciate the opportunity to be on here too. So thank you so much for having me.
Sure. Great, great.